Yes, welcome. It's March, the month of women. A month I've grown to love because every year there's a theme that we all rally around to look at issues that concern women. Not just because I'm a woman, but because I know that women are important. In 2014, I became the Vlisco Woman of the Year. So I'm very proud that this year they're going out to look for another woman that they see inspires other women. I have always won the point anyway, but I was surprised that women voted for me. This time, what I'm happy about and why I'm sharing this with you is that when we aspire for knowledge, we think about wisdom and grace in discovering yourself. And our mothers usually are our inspiration. So the brand this year has decided that if you are lucky enough, you may be able to gift your mother with a Vlisco. It could be one of these floral ones or some of the classic ones. All you need to do is buy from any of the outlets and you possibly could win a gift for your mother as we celebrate International Women's Month. On the show, I am talking about the theme for the year, and that theme is Leave No Woman Behind. And there's a hashtag around it, Press for Progress. Now, whenever I think about progress for women, one person always comes to mind that has a voice that is louder than whispers. And this is not a pun for words, because actually, she has done a lot of work for gender activism. I'll take a break. Some of you may have already guessed, but I'll take a break and I'll come back and introduce to you my guest on the show today. We'll be right back. Let me describe her first as I welcome you back. She's a gender specialist. I don't want to make a mistake. If you went to Wikipedia, you probably won't have the kind of detail I have in this one. She's a gender specialist, a social entrepreneur, a policy advocate, and a writer. 3 books in her belt already in less than 3 years. She has a BA and an MA in history, and she has another MA in gender and society, plus a PhD from Tai Sholari, and everything is around women's empowerment, leadership, and all of that. But she's a co-founder of the African Women's Development Fund, AWDF. She ran it as an ED for about 5 years and left in 2010. And since then, she is the principal partner of Amandla Consulting Leadership Development for Women. That's what they focus on. Some of you may remember her as the wife of the immediate past governor of Ekiti State. My guest today is Erelu Bisi Fayemi. It's nice to have you on set.
Thank you, Adesuwa. It's great to be here.
When I was reading all of those things, did I get everything right?
Well, apart from the AWDF bit, I was with AWDF for 10 years, not 5.
From inception to 10?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
And I'm still on the board, but I stepped down as ED in 2010.
But let me tell you, I mean, that's neither here nor there. What's interesting me right now is this, loud whispers. You know, when you launched this book late last year, in December last year, the beauty about what you did was you brought different people to read different things in this book. It seems to me that this book talks to many more than just women. It talks on leadership and talks on all of those things. What I find curious, all the books you've written, there's something about whispering in it. What's the whispering about?
Well, I think in all the things I've put together, there's something about voice. And that, of course, is tied into the whole notion of whispering. Around 20 years ago, I was running a leadership program, the African Women's Leadership Institute. So one of the programs was taking place in Uganda, and I was with a colleague of mine. She had just got news that her aunt had passed away. So my friend sat there, very sorrowful, and I was trying to comfort her. And she was saying things like, my aunt was a wonderful woman. She was so sweet. She was so kind. She never spoke above a whisper. And afterwards, when I was on my own, I played the conversation back in my mind. She never spoke above a whisper. I thought to myself, when I, Olabisi, die, I don't want to be remembered as someone who never spoke above a whisper. I understood the context within which my friend was saying it, because in many parts of Africa, women are brought up to be seen and not heard. There's a limit to what women can do or what they can aspire to. But I didn't want that to be my life, and I don't want that to be the life of any woman around me, and certainly not a life I want for any of our daughters. Because if you go through life whispering, it means you are being silenced, it means you can't speak up, and it means you don't have a voice. And so I believe that's become a kind of brand for me in anything I do, my activism, my writing, my speaking. It's all about giving women voice and giving women the space to express themselves.
I know you. I know that you were able to express yourself in your own home. That's a function of the kind of father that you had or the kind of mother that you have?
Both, but particularly my father. My father was amazing. He had 3 children. I'm the first, and I have a brother and a sister. And he would tell anyone who was prepared to listen that my daughters are worth more to me than 10 boys. And so my father built that confidence in me right from an early age to know that I could do anything I wanted to set my mind to.
And that has helped you too. And a very supportive husband, if I must say.
Absolutely. He's
I mean, we call him a feminist, a male feminist.
He is.
How would you define a male feminist?
A male feminist is a man. It took me a long time to accept that men can be feminists.
You didn't agree?
Quite a while ago, and up to now, many of us feminists are a bit cautious when some men declare themselves feminists. But we have come to a consensus that since the way I define feminism, it's a global struggle against all forms of patriarchal oppression. And since women are the ones who believe that they're the ones who suffer under patriarchal institutions, political, economic, social, religious, cultural, and so on, we know what is at stake. But there are some men who share in those ideals as well. So the few men who are interested in dismantling patriarchy, or at least in interrogating these norms and values that make women second-class citizens throughout their lives, they are welcome on board in our struggles. So yes, we do have men who describe themselves as feminists, and we welcome them into our movement.
Well, describe them and say they are feminists because they are fighting for equality, and it's just equality and women issues, patriarchy, so we can call them feminists.
We can, but the thing is, I always add a caveat. Any man who calls himself a feminist has to be prepared to give up the power and the privileges conferred on him by patriarchy. If he's prepared to do that and work with other men to do the same, then absolutely.
What are such powers, for example?
The powers to command and instruct women, the powers to occupy public spaces and believe that they are the only ones who can make decisions and women don't have a voice, the power to determine the movements of women, and the power to, as I said earlier, make women second-class citizens throughout their life cycle. That's the kind of power that informs the way we treat newborns in some parts of our communities. When you give birth to a baby boy, you kill a goat. When you give birth to a baby girl, you kill a chicken. So look at the value of a goat and the value of a chicken. That tells you the premium we place on the boy child and the premium that we ultimately place on malehood or masculinity in our lives.
I find that interesting because in the book, though, you have some sections that deal with this.
Yes, I do.
Which one would you say is the most, because the intergenerational one, there are tributes, there's one on activism. Which one is closer to your heart? Because it's a compilation of all you've written, right?
Yes, there are different sections there. There is a section on intergenerational issues, and I believe I would recommend the one on how to be a good husband. And what inspired that was a couple of men started sending messages to me or engaging me in conversations saying, I'm always talking about women. What message do I have for men, especially young men who are starting their lives out with men? They don't want
section
to do
is that one in again?
It's intergenerational
okay.
issues. But then for people who want to have a better understanding of feminist issues or gender and power, who are confused with all the terminologies or some of the ways in which the media has managed to manipulate the feminist agenda, there's a whole section there on feminism and gender. And there's an essay in particular that I'd like to draw people's attention to that I called Feminism 101.
But I found that quite interesting, how to be a good husband. You have, I think, how many do you have there? 10? You have 10. You said protect her, communicate, do things together, don't betray her trust, make important. But you have this one, support her aspirations and make love regularly.
But of course, men are always saying that their wives don't want to make love. But we also know quite a number of women, particularly women who are middle-aged and above, who their husbands don't want to make love to anymore. They kind of want to retire them so they can go around chasing after chickens all over the place. So yes, that's one of the responsibilities that a husband has. You
guys have to listen to how she ended. They said, so there it is, go and be the best husband that you can be. But one last word of advice, never lay a hand on your wife. That will get you into trouble. I like the fact that you don't mind being in that world of the younger people, because they can't drive us, whether they like it or not. But I have some young people in the house because I want us to address the theme of the International Women's Day for this year. And they've done their research and they have a lot of things they want to ask you.
Okay.
So if you don't go away, you'll get to see this. We'll be right back on Seriously Speaking. Yes, welcome back. We're back in the studios, and this time we're going to talk about things that matter to all women, because the theme is Leave No Woman Behind, and hashtag is Press for Change. What kind of changes do we need? I would expect that Erelu would know a lot about that, because even in recent times, you are now a visiting fellow. You're a visiting fellow at the King's College.
Yes, a visiting senior research fellow at King's College, London.
They know that you're thick when it comes to women issue. And in fact, if not for that, you would have come much earlier on this show, because you were in London recently.
Yes, I was. Yeah.
Anyway, that's an aside. I have 2 young women with me in the house. Young compared to us. Tokunbo, well, Tokunbo is a mother of 2. I don't know if that's the criteria to describe you. And then Chisom is my little baby who's just 21. And I wonder what they think about these issues, and they have some questions that they're going to ask Erelu as we go along. But first, I want them to tell you who they are. The elevator pitch of 1 minute. Tokunbo.
Thank you so much, Adesuwa. My name is Tokunbo Fasoro. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an HR consultant. I just authored the book, Walking Your Way into Career Success.
So when you think about the theme of this press for change, you think change is something that we need for women still? Right?
Yes, it's very, because I work with a lot of them. I see a lot of issues, And, the good thing is I didn't have a great start myself. So it's like when many of them come, it's like I'm talking from experience. So it's easier for me to relate to what they're saying and for them to be able to relate with what I'm telling them when they see who I am today and how much...
Where you're coming from.
Exactly.
Can we say the same thing about Chisom? Because, I'm calling it press for change. It's actually press for progress. Yeah. So progress can't happen unless you know who you are, I think.
Yeah. So my name is Chisom again, and I'm the founder of the Conversation Cafe. One of the things I do with the Conversation Cafe is to have a platform for young girls, especially
young girls like me.
Young girls between the age of 16 to 20, 25. It's more or less like a platform to engage them and let them know that, you know what, in as much as you have this much energy, you need to use it to do positive things. So I've had campaigns like #DearTeenageGirls and a couple of other things.
Yeah. Erelu, what do you think about the work that they're doing?
I think they're doing
because it's probably come from where we are coming,
Yes, I think they're doing absolutely amazing things. I'm so proud of both of you.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the very best.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ma.
One of the key lessons in the feminist movement is solidarity, being each other's keeper, being your sister's keeper. And that's exactly what you're demonstrating the work that you're doing. You've gone through certain processes yourselves, and you're sharing your own lessons and your experiences with others to make sure that they have an opportunity and they can do better in life. Well done.
Thank you.
I must thank you all for coming. It's always never enough time. But one thing is clear, that for us to press for progress, women must have a voice. Yes. Speak above the whispers.
Yes.
And inspire other women, pull them up along wherever it is you're going.
Especially with what I've gone through, I've been able to reach out to other people. I see a lot of them passing through the same thing I went through.
So
and
never
really
pass. And
inspired.
it makes you feel, sorry, Adesuwa, it makes you feel any better. I think I speak, for all of us, and I say, if you see us at this age, don't think we haven't gone through a lot of the things that you went through.
Yeah.
Yes, I grew up with a lot of self-esteem because of my father, but I was bullied in school as well. I write with my left hand. I was called for many years, and I went to boarding school. Can you imagine what boarding school was like in those days?
Yeah.
So we all went through that.
Thank you.
There is always a journey. We all pass that journey. But when we get to some point in the journey, look for people behind you, which is why we say, leave no woman behind. Male or female. We'll see you again next week. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.